It was supposed to be the happiest day of my life. I had just turned 18. The cake was still on the table, the candles melting down into the frosting. My friends were laughing, my mother was smiling nervously, and I thought for a moment that maybe, just maybe, my stepdad would show me some kindness for once. But then he stood up. The room went silent as he cleared his throat and looked directly at me. His eyes were sharp and cold, the way they always were when he wanted to remind me that I didn't belong. "You're not my real son," he said, his voice cutting through the room like broken glass. "And you're out of this house." At first, I thought he was joking. The silence around me was so heavy that I almost expected him to laugh, to say it was all in fun. But instead, he bent down, grabbed a plastic grocery bag stuffed with my clothes, and tossed it at my feet. The sound of it hitting the floor made me flinch. The bag sagged with the weight of everything I owned, and I realized in that instant that he meant every word. I looked at my mother. Her name is Alara, and she has always been the one I turned to when the world felt too heavy. She pressed her hands to her mouth, her eyes wide, but she didn't say anything. Her silence was worse than the words that had just been thrown at me. My chest tightened. I felt the blood rush to my face, and shame washed over me in waves. My friends stared, whispering to each other. I could hear the scrape of a chair as someone shifted uncomfortably. All I wanted was for the ground to open and swallow me. I picked up the bag. My fingers shook as I held it to my side. Without saying a word, I turned and walked out the front door. The rain hit me instantly, soaking through my clothes in seconds. Each step felt heavier than the last, as if the weight of the world was pressing down on me. I walked aimlessly, my vision blurred by tears. The cold night air bit at my skin, but I kept moving because stopping meant collapsing. Stopping meant admitting I had nowhere to go. Then, through the roar of the rain, I heard the low hum of an engine. Headlights cut through the darkness, and a sleek black car slowed to a stop beside me. My heart raced as the tinted window rolled down. The driver leaned out, his face hidden in shadow. His voice was calm, steady, as if he had been waiting for me. "Are you Adrian?" he asked. I tightened my grip on the bag, unsure if I should answer. "Yeah," I finally said. The man nodded once. Then his words hit me like lightning. "Your real father sent me." My name is Adrian, and for as long as I can remember, I never truly felt like I belonged in my own home. Growing up, I would watch other kids play catch with their dads, hear stories about fathers teaching their sons how to drive, and I wondered what that felt like. My stepdad, Conrad, never gave me those moments. He wasn't cruel every single day, but he carried a constant weight of resentment that hung in the air whenever we were in the same room. I was 10 when he married my mom, Alara. She believed he would give us stability. He worked as a contractor, big and broad-shouldered, the type of man who filled a room with his presence. At first, I tried to win him over. I would bring him drawings I made in school, or sit quietly near him hoping he would notice me. He never did. If he spoke, it was usually to correct me or tell me what I was doing wrong. "Stand up straight, don't slouch, don't waste time." His words were sharp, clipped, always a reminder that I was a burden he had to put up with. My mother loved me, I never doubted that, but she lived in a world of compromises. She worked at a small clinic as a nurse's aide, often pulling late shifts, exhausted when she came home. She wanted peace in the house more than anything. That meant swallowing Conrad's moods and teaching me to do the same. She would squeeze my hand and whisper, "Just let it go, don't push. Him." I learned early that keeping quiet was safer than speaking up. The years passed, and the house never felt like mine. Conrad controlled everything. He set the rules. He chose what we ate for dinner. He decided who we could invite over. If I left a dish in the sink, he reminded me it wasn't his responsibility to clean up after someone else's kid. If I asked for help with homework, he told me to figure it out myself. Every interaction chipped away at me, yet I kept hoping that one day he would change. Turning 18 felt like it would be a new beginning. In my mind, it was the start of adulthood, the chance to finally earn his respect. I thought maybe he would see me as more than a reminder of a man he never wanted in his life. My real father was always a mystery. My mom told me only fragments. That he was young, that circumstances forced him away, that it was complicated. She never gave details, and whenever I pressed, she shut down, her eyes distant, her voice quiet. It left me with questions I never had answers to. On the morning of my birthday, I woke up hopeful. My friends from school were coming over, people I trusted, the ones who never made me feel less for not having the perfect family. My uncle Darius was supposed to stop by too, though he had called to say he might be late. He was my mom's older brother, a kind man who always checked in on me, the only male figure who treated me like I mattered. The house smelled of frosting and candles. Balloons hung in the corner, slightly deflated from the night before. My mom had gone out of her way to make the day special. She smiled at me as she set the cake on the table, her eyes bright, and for once I allowed myself to believe everything might be okay. Conrad sat in his usual spot at the head of the table. His arms were crossed, his face unreadable, and yet I ignored the knot in my stomach. I told myself that maybe he was just tired, that maybe tonight he would raise a glass and tell me he was proud. It was foolish, but hope can make you blind to the truth you already know. My friends gathered around, laughing and joking as the candles were lit. They sang, and for a moment, I forgot about Conrad's presence. I blew out the candles and closed my eyes, making a wish that felt almost childish. I wished for acceptance. I wished that for once I wouldn't feel like an outsider in my own family. When I opened my eyes, Conrad was watching me. His gaze was steady, and something in the way his mouth tightened made my chest sink. My mom clapped her hands together, trying to keep the mood light. She handed me a wrapped box, whispering, "Happy birthday, sweetheart." My friends urged me to open it, but Conrad shifted in his chair, pushing it back with a sound that silenced the room. He stood slowly, as though he had been waiting for this exact moment. His voice cut through the laughter like a knife. 18 years, he said, staring down at me. 18 years of pretending. I think it's time we stop the act. I froze, my heart pounding. My friends looked between us, unsure if they should laugh or stay quiet. My mom's face went pale. I had no idea what he was about to say, but the way he squared his shoulders made it clear that something was about to break. That moment was the last calm breath before the storm. Everything I thought I knew about my family, about myself, was about to be torn apart in front of everyone I loved. Conrad's chair scraped back against the floor, the sound sharp enough to silence every laugh and whisper in the room. He stood tall, his arms folded across his chest, staring down at me as if I were a stranger. My heart raced. The cake in front of me suddenly looked like a cruel joke, a decoration for a celebration that had already ended. "Let's stop pretending," he said, his voice low but cutting through the room like thunder. "You're not my real son. You never were. And as of today, you're out of this house." The words landed like a punch to the chest. For a second, I thought I had misheard him. My friends glanced at each other, shifting uncomfortably in their seats. One of them let out a nervous laugh that quickly died when Conrad didn't flinch. I looked at my mom, begging her silently to say something. Her face was pale, her eyes wide with fear, but her lips stayed pressed together. She lifted a trembling hand as if to reach for me, then let it fall back into her lap. "Conrad, please," she whispered. "Not like this, not here." He turned to her, his expression cold. "This is the perfect time. He's 18 now. He's no responsibility of mine." My throat closed as heat surged through my chest. "You can't just throw me out," I managed to say, though my voice cracked halfway through. Conrad sneered. "I can, and I am. You've lived off me long enough. I've put food on your plate, a roof over your head. But you're nothing to me. You're not my blood, and you never will be. Gasps rippled around the table. My best friend Malik stood halfway out of his chair, as if ready to intervene, but I shook my head at him. I didn't want him to make it worse. Then Conrad bent down and picked up a plastic grocery bag from the floor. It sagged with weight, the handles stretched thin, and he tossed it toward me. It landed with a heavy thud at my feet. I didn't need to look inside to know what it was. My clothes, my life reduced to a crumpled bag. There, he said flatly. That's all you need. Take it and go. The room was silent except for the sound of rain against the windows. I felt every eye on me, their pity pressing into my skin like needles. Shame and anger twisted inside me until I thought I might burst. I turned back to my mom, my voice shaking. Mom, please, say something. Tell him I don't have to leave. Tears filled her eyes, but she didn't move. Conrad's hand rested firmly on the back of her chair, a silent warning. She whispered my name, Adrian, but the word carried no strength. It sounded like an apology she was too afraid to say out loud. I bent down and picked up the bag. My hands shook, my stomach churned, and the room spun around me. My friends looked stricken, unsure whether to follow me or stay frozen in their seats. Malik muttered under his breath, "This is insane." But no one else spoke. I stood there for a long second, staring at Conrad. His eyes were hard, unflinching, daring me to challenge him. 1,000 words burned in my throat, but I swallowed them down. Nothing I could say would change him. Nothing I could say would make him see me as a son. So I turned and walked to the door. My mother let out a soft sob, but she didn't rise to stop me. The door creaked open, and the sound of rain filled the silence. As I stepped outside, the storm swallowed me whole. The cold rain drenched me instantly, plastering my shirt to my skin. My sneakers splashed in the growing puddles as I walked down the street, gripping the bag like it was the only thing keeping me from falling apart. My tears mixed with the rain, and I let them fall freely, each step heavier than the last. The voices from inside the house faded until all I could hear was the pounding of rain and the thundering of my own heart. My birthday had turned into exile. The boy I was a few minutes ago, the one who still held on to hope that things could get better, was gone. In his place was someone carrying a bag of clothes through the storm with no idea where he belonged. My mind raced with questions that hurt to even think. Where would I sleep tonight? What would I eat tomorrow? Would my mom come after me, or would she stay in that house with him, pretending nothing had happened? The betrayal stung deeper than the cold rain on my skin. I thought about Uncle Darius, wishing he had been there, wishing someone had stood up for me. He was the one who always reminded me I mattered, who told me to hold on even when things were rough. But he wasn't there, and Conrad had chosen the exact moment to strike, knowing I had no shield against him. I walked farther into the night, my clothes clinging to me, my sneakers squelching with water. The world around me blurred, streetlights smearing in the rain like melting stars. My chest ached with every breath, and yet I kept moving, because stopping would mean collapsing. The weight of Conrad's words echoed in my head. "You're not my real son. You're out of this house." He had stripped me of belonging, torn me from the only home I had known for the last 8 years, and done it without a shred of hesitation. I wanted to scream, to curse him, to demand answers from my mother, but the storm swallowed my voice. All I could do was keep walking, each step carrying me farther from the boy who once believed that family meant love. And in that endless rain, when I thought I had nothing left, I heard it, the low hum of an engine behind me, the sudden glow of headlights cutting through the storm. A black car slowed to a stop beside me, and everything I thought I knew about my life was about to change. The rain hammered down as if the sky itself wanted to crush me into the pavement. I hugged the plastic bag of clothes to my chest, its thin handles cutting into my palm. Each step splashed through puddles that soaked through my sneakers until my feet were numb. My breath came out ragged, not just from the cold but from the ache in my chest. I kept telling myself to keep walking, but I had no destination. Every house I passed was glowing with warm light. Families sitting down to dinner, children laughing. The kind of life I had always wanted but never had. I wondered if anyone inside those houses could imagine what it felt like to be thrown out on your birthday, to be told you were never wanted in the first place. The storm blurred everything, but I kept moving. I thought about my mom. Part of me wanted to turn back, to pound on the door and demand she fight for me. Another part of me knew she wouldn't. She had chosen silence, and that silence had been as sharp as Conrad's words. A car engine hummed behind me, low and steady. At first, I ignored it, assuming someone was simply driving through the storm. But then the headlights slowed, bathing me in white light. My shoulders tensed. I turned slightly, the rain stinging my eyes as the car pulled up beside me. It was sleek, black, and polished even under the downpour. The tinted window slid down with a smooth hum. I stopped in my tracks, clutching the bag tighter. A man leaned out. His face was partially shadowed, his jawline sharp, his voice calm and measured. "Are you Adrian?" I froze. My throat tightened. I had no idea who he was, but the way he said my name felt deliberate, rehearsed. "Yeah," I answered cautiously, my voice barely audible over the rain. The man gave a short nod, as though confirming something he already knew. "Your real father sent me." The words cut through the storm, louder than the thunder. My chest clenched, and for a second I couldn't breathe. My real father. The man I had spent years wondering about. The man my mother rarely spoke of. The man who was nothing more than a ghost in the fragments of my memory. I stepped back instinctively, my grip tightening on the bag. "What are you talking about? Who are you?" The man didn't raise his voice. His tone stayed calm, steady, almost reassuring. "My name is Callan. Your father asked me to find you. He wanted me to make sure you're safe." I stared at him, torn between disbelief and desperate hope. The storm pounded on the roof of the car, each drop like a drumbeat against my spinning thoughts. "Safe from what?" I asked. He paused, then gestured to the back seat. "Get in. I'll explain everything. You don't have to stay out here in the rain." Every part of me screamed to run, to keep moving, to not trust a stranger in the middle of the night. But his words hung in my mind like a lifeline. My father, the man I had never known, the man I had dreamed of when Conrad reminded me I didn't belong, the man I thought was gone forever. "What's his name?" I asked, my voice sharp. "If you're telling the truth, then tell me his name." The man met my eyes without hesitation. "Kieran. Kieran Marlowe. He's been waiting to see you for a long time." The name hit me like a shock. My mother had whispered it once, years ago, when she thought I was asleep. Kieran. She had said it with such softness, such longing, then buried it under silence when I asked about it later. Hearing it now from a stranger made the world tilt beneath me. "Why now?" I demanded, my voice cracking. "If he wanted me, where has he been all these years?" Callan's jaw tightened slightly, but his voice stayed calm. "It's not what you think. He didn't leave you. He was forced out of your life. Conrad made sure of that." The mention of Conrad's name sent a new surge of anger through me. I thought back to the way he had looked at me tonight, the hatred in his voice, the way he wanted me gone before I even had a chance to start my life. Callan leaned closer, his eyes steady. "Your father never stopped searching for you. He couldn't get to you before. But now, you're 18. He wanted me to find you the moment you were free." The rain poured harder, running down my face, mixing with the tears I didn't want to admit were there. Part of me screamed this was too good to be true, some twisted trick. Another part of me felt the fragile ember of hope ignite in my chest. I looked back down the street, toward the house I had left behind. The lights glowed faintly through the storm, but that house was no longer mine. Inside sat a man who had declared me nothing and a mother who had stayed silent. Then I looked back at Callan, the car warm and waiting, his words still echoing in my mind. My real father sent me. The choice tore at me. Stay in the rain with nothing but a bag of clothes and questions that had haunted me all my life, or step into that car and take the first step toward finding the truth. I took a deep breath, my chest aching, and opened the door. The warmth hit me instantly, the soft leather seat embracing me as I slid inside. The door shut, muting the storm, leaving only the steady rhythm of the engine and the racing of my heart. Callan glanced at me once more, then shifted the car into gear. "Hold on, Adrian," he said firmly. "You're about to learn everything they never wanted you to know." As the car pulled away from the curb, I knew I had crossed a line I could never return from. The boy who had walked into the rain alone was gone. For the first time in my life, I wasn't just searching for belonging. I was about to discover the truth of who I really was. The hum of the engine and the patter of rain on the windshield filled the silence. I sat rigid in the back seat, clutching the plastic bag of clothes on my lap like it was armor. My mind spun with questions I wanted to fire at the man in the driver's seat, but my throat was tight. Callan glanced at me through the rearview mirror, his eyes steady. "I know this is overwhelming, but you deserve to know the truth." I forced myself to speak, my voice sharp with suspicion. "If my father wanted me, where has he been? Why didn't he fight for me?" Callan's hands tightened on the wheel. "He did fight. You were too young to remember, but Conrad made sure your father was pushed out. He twisted the story, manipulated your mother, and blocked every attempt Kieran made to reach you. Your father was not allowed near you. Conrad wanted control, and he made sure to keep it." The anger in me boiled over. So all this time, I thought my dad just abandoned me. I thought I wasn't good enough. "And you're saying it was Conrad who stole him from me?" "Yes," Callan said firmly. "Your father never abandoned you. He never stopped searching. I'm here because he sent me the moment you were legally free from Conrad's grasp." I shook my head, trying to absorb it. My chest ached as if the storm outside had rooted itself inside me. "Then where is he now? Where's Kieran?" Callan reached into the passenger seat and lifted a small envelope. He handed it back to me. My hands shook as I tore it open. Inside was a folded letter and a worn photograph. I unfolded the picture first. My breath caught. It was a younger man holding a baby wrapped in a blanket. His hair was dark, his smile wide, his eyes bright with pride. The baby was me. My vision blurred as I pressed the photo to my chest. I opened the letter next, my hands trembling. The handwriting was strong, deliberate. "Adrian, my son, I have waited 18 years for this moment. I wanted to be there for every birthday, every scraped knee, every achievement. But I was forced away from you. Not a day passed where I didn't fight to find you. Now you are a man, and nothing can stop me from telling you the truth. You were never unwanted. You were never forgotten. You are my son, and I love you." Tears stung my eyes, and I struggled to breathe. The letter slipped from my fingers and landed in my lap. He really wanted me," I whispered. Callan nodded, his voice softer now. "He did, and he still does. He asked me to bring you to him tonight." My heart pounded so hard I thought it might break my ribs. Fear and hope battled inside me. I wanted to believe every word, but years of Conrad's cruelty and my mother's silence made trust feel dangerous. Why now? Why not wait until later? Why send you tonight? Callan's eyes flicked to mine in the mirror. "Because Conrad made his move tonight. Your father knew it was coming. He knew you would need him the moment Conrad pushed you out. He has been waiting for this day." We drove out of town, the lights fading behind us as the road stretched into darkness. The storm thinned, the rain softening to a drizzle. My chest tightened as anticipation built with every passing mile. Finally, the car slowed as we turned into a long driveway lined with tall trees. At the end stood a house with lights glowing warmly through the windows. My pulse raced as we approached. The car stopped, and Callan turned to me. "He's inside." I opened the door and stepped out, my legs unsteady. The air was damp but calmer now, the storm retreating into the distance. I clutched the photograph in my hand as I walked toward the house. The door opened before I reached it. A man stood in the doorway. His hair was streaked with gray now, but his face was unmistakably the same as the one in the photo. His eyes, my eyes, locked onto mine, and in them I saw recognition, relief, and a love so fierce it almost broke me. "Adrian," he said, his voice trembling with emotion. I froze. My body wanted to move, to run to him, but years of doubt weighed me down. You're real," I managed to whisper. He stepped forward, tears shining in his eyes. "I am, and I've been waiting for you every single day of your life." The dam inside me broke. I dropped the bag of clothes to the ground and stumbled forward. Kieran caught me in his arms, holding me tightly against his chest. His embrace was strong, steady, everything I had ever dreamed of but never thought I would feel. I cried into his shoulder, the weight of 18 years of emptiness pouring out of me. He held me as if he would never let go. "You were never unwanted," he whispered. "You were stolen from me. But you are mine, and I am yours. Always." For the first time in my life, I felt what it meant to belong. The lies Conrad had built around me crumbled in that moment, swept away like the storm that had carried me here. Kieran's embrace felt like an anchor in a storm I had been drifting through my entire life. His arms were strong and steady, holding me as though he feared I might disappear if he let go. My tears slowed, replaced by a sense of relief I had never known. For the first time, I wasn't fighting for scraps of affection. I was being claimed, without hesitation, by the man who had been searching for me all along. When we finally stepped inside, the house was warm, filled with the scent of wood smoke and fresh bread. I sank into a chair at the kitchen table, the photograph and letters still clutched in my hand. Kieran sat across from me, his eyes never leaving mine, as though he was making up for every year we had lost. "I tried to come for you," he said, his voice raw. "But Conrad twisted everything. He told your mother lies about me. He filed papers to keep me away. He convinced her it was best if I stayed out of your life. By the time I could fight back, too much damage had been done." I thought of my mother then, sitting frozen at the birthday table, unable to defend me. Part of me still loved her, but another part burned with anger. "She never told me the truth," I whispered. "Your mother loved you, Adrian. She was trapped in Conrad's shadow, afraid of what he would do. She made choices I don't agree with, but never doubt that you were her world. The silence wasn't because you were unloved, it was because she was afraid." His words softened something inside me, but the wound was still deep. "So, all those years," I said, my voice breaking, "all those nights I thought I was unwanted, all those times Conrad reminded me I didn't belong. You were still out there, wanting me." Kieran reached across the table and gripped my hand. "Every single day. I never stopped wanting you. You were my son the moment you were born, and you are my son now. Nothing Conrad did can change that." The weight I had carried for 18 years began to lift. For so long I had believed I was a mistake, a burden, someone who didn't deserve love. Now, sitting across from my father, I realized that was never true. The lies that had shaped my life were finally shattered. The following days blurred together. Kieran showed me albums of photos, letters he had written but never been able to send, documents proving the battles he had fought. Each piece of evidence was another stitch mending the torn fabric of my life. The bitterness inside me slowly gave way to something new hope. I thought often about Conrad, about his face when he told me I wasn't his son. There was no regret in him, no hesitation. He had wanted me gone. And in a strange way, his cruelty had opened the door to my truth. By throwing me out, he had set me free. I also thought about my mother. Her silence hurt the most. I knew she loved me, but she hadn't fought for me when I needed her most. One day, I hoped I could face her again, to tell her that I knew the truth, to see if she would finally speak it herself. But for now, I focused on healing the bond that had been stolen from me. One night, as Kieran and I sat by the fire, he looked at me with a mix of pride and sadness. "I can't give you back the years we lost," he said, "but I can give you every year from this day forward." I swallowed hard, the firelight reflecting in his eyes. "That's all I want," I said quietly. "A chance to know you, a chance to finally feel like I belong." And for the first time, I truly believed I did. The storm that had begun with Conrad's cruel words had led me here, to the truth I had always needed. I had lost a house, but I had gained a home. I had lost the man who claimed to be my father, but I had found the one who truly was. As I reflect on that night, I understand something I didn't before. Family is not about who shares your roof or who puts food on your plate. It is about who claims you as their own, who fights for you when the world tries to take you away, who never stops searching no matter how impossible it seems. That night, I learned that storms can destroy, but they can also reveal what was hidden. The rain washed away the lies, and what remained was the truth. And that truth was simple. I was wanted. I was loved. I was finally home. If this story touched you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Comment below and let me know what part hit you the hardest. And if you want more powerful stories like this, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps me keep telling stories that matter.